All right. So, thank you, everyone. This is I'm overwhelmed by the amount of interest, and yeah, I've had about 100 people register for this, and there's about 30 of you here. Pretty good ratio. I have to. It always works out this way. You know, a lot of people register, and then a smaller group attend, and then a smaller group will actually have their guitars in hand, and so that's just how it works. It's all good. If you want to be involved, please, please, you're more than welcome if we have time. If you have your guitar and you're willing to try out some things on video in front of everyone, then please please feel free. If you want to just sit back, put yourself on mute, put your video off, and just watch, that's all good as well. If you have questions, excuse me. If you have questions, I'll open up question times throughout. But if you have questions, otherwise, just please leave them in the chat. I think that'll be the best. I'll try to get to them. I have a private message here. One of the links. I've got some links here that don't work. Yeah. So I apologize if you've experienced troubles on my website with certain links not working. I try to keep up to date as much as I can, but Shirley, I had to get up at 1, 3 or 5 a.m. for some of the harp things I've done. Oh, well, yeah, that's the way the world's working at the moment a little bit. It's a very global connection we have right now. So, well, all right, why don't we get started? So, my format, it's it's a little loose, but my format for today is to talk you through the 6 methods that are in the book, and then to go through some people and some examples and apply whatever of these methods we think will work the best in order to develop speed in those particular passages. So let's begin. All right, so hopefully you all got the book. 6 methods for developing speed. I like this painting. He's got a pretty sort of something like an engaged look about him or something. So, maybe he's playing something fast, maybe he's playing something slow, I don't know. But, sorry, there we go. Just letting some people in still. So,
Looks
here...
like he's playing Rasguiado.
He's playing a Rasguiado. Maybe he's strumming a chord, maybe vigorously.
That's what I thought. I thought that's Rasguiado.
Yeah. Good
Just
one.
broken a string.
And broken a string. Maybe he's playing so, vigorously.
He's broken all the strings.
He's broken all of the strings. There's something about it just caught my eye. I thought it was a really eye-catching painting. So
it's really difficult in painting to paint strings. Like if a painter to paint strings is really a big challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if it is a painting, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. You got some of the remnants of
but
the strings
one string
up there,
is broken over here, on the right.
Yeah. So here are the 6 methods, and I'll try to get through this, as quickly as concise as I can, so that we can get right into the action of applying these methods. So soft and light, accent, tension and relaxation, economy of movement, chunks and bursts, hands separate. So these are all individual methods you can use to develop speed, and you can also combine them in various ways as well. So this is just a little sort of preface here that developing speed requires your technique to be regulated and in good working order. It's not the result of stubborn willpower, but careful regulation of foundational aspects of your technique. Improve each individual aspect and you will find an increase in your ability to play fast. Improve multiple aspects and your speed will develop at an exponential rate. All right, so let's go through these methods. So the first one, this is the one that I like to often teach first as well, because I think it's the one to grasp the fastest. You can grasp this one pretty quickly. Soft and light. Okay, so this is a quote by Rigondi, Giulio Rigondi, who was a virtuoso, you know, a child prodigy, composer and guitarist. And he's actually talking about, so he played the guitar and the concertina, which is like a sort of like a what do you call it, an accordion, sort of similar to an accordion. So he's actually writing about the concertina here, but I thought, you know, you could apply these ideas to the guitar too. He says that by recommending beginners never to practice forte, but constantly a mezzo voce, half your usual volume. By this mean, they will avoid all constraint, stiffness of the arms and wrists, and hardness of touch. The fingers will also acquire more readily that suppleness, agility, and varied I think it's supposed to say nicety of touch, so requisite for musical accent and expression. The peculiar charm of the concertina, I replaced the word concertina with guitar, is sweetness, delicacy, and flexibility of expression. Force should therefore be resorted to but sparingly and only by the aid of octaves and widely extended harmonies, never on single notes or closed chords. So there's a lot in this actually, if you read it carefully. So, and he's talking about beginners, recommending beginners, but I think we can all borrow from the wisdom of Rigondi, because Rigondi must have been something out, you know, out of this world sort of a player. So he's recommending to constantly practice at half of your usual volume, right? Half of your usual volume. The guitar's pretty soft already, so if you're practicing half of our usual volume on the guitar, it's probably going to be pretty soft. And that can help you avoid constraint, stiffness of the arms and wrists, hardness of touch, and then it can help you gain suppleness, agility. Sorry, I'm just going to... Someone's doing some lovely practice at the moment, but if you could mute yourself, please. I'm trying to find the option. I know I can... I'm trying to find the option. Oh, thank you. I think that you've done that. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. It was sounding nice. Well, it sounded like sort of similar to that piece. So there's that quote. You can sort of dwell on that one. More people coming in. So it gives us a clue. This quote gives us a clue, or some clues, as to how he might have achieved his great skills of execution. Looking at Rigondi's compositions, you'll find that any attempt to overuse your energy, i.e. play loud and heavy, will immediately create barriers. If you cannot play the following example from Rigondi's introduction in Caprice, just simply imagining what it's like to play it should give you an idea of the kind of virtuosity required to execute it. So on this page here, this is a bit from Rigondi's introduction in Caprice. And I mean, just visually, just looking at it, you can imagine playing this, and the whole piece is pretty much along these lines. It's virtuosity, but it's very charming, very gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful music too. So you can imagine if you had to play this and you played it heavy and loud. You're gonna reach a barrier. There's only so much speed and fluency and shaping that you'd be able to get. But if you tried to play this soft and light, it's a very general method, a very general idea, but oops. Okay, so I'm really trying to back away. I missed a couple of notes. high notes there, but really trying to back away with the volume. This is what I was talking about at the start. Careful regulation of our playing, right? So it's actually quite challenging to play consistently very softly, because it's very easy for notes to pop out. You might have heard I was probably doing that a little bit too. It's very easy for certain notes to just kind of pop out. If you try to keep it at a really soft level consistently, you're actually regulating your technique by doing that. So I'm using an extreme example here to make this point as clear as possible. If you played this page of music loud and heavy, then you would struggle to play it, most likely. Heed Ragondi's advice and practice using at least half of your normal volume. You will avoid constraint, stiffness, and hardness of touch. As Ragondi points out, the charm of the guitar, or concertina, is sweetness, delicacy, and flexibility of expression, not force, loudness, etc. You can also apply this to scales, arpeggios, and fast passages in other pieces. So this is a really, I think, the most maybe straightforward method to grasp, and it's usually the first one that I teach. It's usually what I hear, I notice in students, in guitarists, and in myself. If I feel myself, if I'm feeling a little bit heavy-handed, things aren't kind of flowing nicely, or I'm feeling a bit stiff in the hands, I'll just try to play a lot softer, significantly softer, and lighter as well. Okay, so there's the first method. We got through that pretty quickly. Any questions or comments about the first method there? It's fairly straightforward. Okay.
I think there's always a difficulty with playing loudly, that you squeeze too hard with the left hand to sort of match the force in the right hand.
Of the right hand, the hands sort of talk to each other a little bit. Definitely.
To be able to overcome that would be great.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes you do need to play loud.
It's true. Yeah, don't want to overlook that. Sometimes we do need to play loud, but volume is also relative as well. So you can sort of balance things out a little bit. So your loudness will be in relation to your softness. So you can kind of, whatever your threshold is of volume and speed, you can kind of balance it out. But yeah, it's a good, we do need to allow some expression, some loud volume. But I think as a starting point, we might be surprised at how much volume we're creating. I mean, I'm often surprised when I ask students to just play an open string and just, you usually hear this kind of like, it's almost like trying to get as much sound as possible, but you'd be surprised at how little difference there is when you just effortlessly pluck the string. The volume, I think, it's not quite proportional to the amount of energy that and the quality of the tone, I think, is perhaps the thing to be aware of. So the quality of the tone too, which is another aspect of volume too. So, but good thoughts to mull over there. Okay, soft and light. Let's go on to the next one. So the next method is accent. So like volume, oh sorry, I had a comment here. Sometimes my legato suffers as I get faster. Makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Kath. And thanks, Jill. Legato. As you get faster. I think hopefully one or more of these topics will help with that. And Shirley says that a concertina player needs a lot of bellows control. Right. That's okay. You play one. Wow. Shirley's a multi-instrumentalist. Shirley's a harp player and plays the concertina as well and other instruments. Fantastic. Yoda, nails make different on how soft you should play. Yeah, nail length can be something to think about too. But let me get that's sort of a legato and nails are sort of you know, topics that you could almost devote their own study to. So let's unfortunately I'll stick to these methods for now, but they're all good thoughts to have in mind. So accent is the second one. So like volume, accent is another form of energy that needs to be carefully regulated in order to allow for quick playing. If you play every note with an equal accent, then it will present another barrier for playing fast. But limit your accents and the notes will flow and organize themselves logically. So here I'm going into a little bit of historical performance practice. This is a one way that a musician from maybe the 17 or 1800s would have accented semiquavers or 16th notes in 4/4 time. And you should have access to a whole chart with different time signatures and different accents if you click on that link. So in 4/4 time, the dashes represent accents and the upside down U's represent unaccented notes. So there is this kind of hierarchy of accents in every bar and every beat. So beat 1 receives the strongest accent. Beat 3 over here receives the second strongest accent, 3 dashes. Beat 1 has 4 dashes. Beats 2 and 4 receive weaker accents than beats 1 and 3. So they have 2 dashes. And then the off beats, the notes that fall halfway between the main beats, are slightly accented. So these, the one, the and of 1 and the and of 2, the and of 3, they are slightly accented. Okay, so there's quite a complex hierarchy here when you talk about it and you look at this example. And this is what I mean by careful regulation. So if we were to use, I mean, you can use any right hand fingering you like, but if I used PI to demonstrate this, it would be something like, and I might have to regulate this myself as I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, something along those lines, as opposed to making them all equal. Right? It's going to be a lot harder for me to speed that up rather than right? These accents also give you a very clear idea of what the meter is too, because you're feeling the first beat really strong and the third beat a little bit strong. So it gives you a good idea of meter, which is something that was really important it's something that's really important in music in general, but for developing speed, it's also really, really important too. It's really helpful. So regulating the accents. So if you want to apply this, these are just a couple of examples that you could just visually apply them to. This is a little scale study from Mozzani's method book, which you can download if you click there. Really, really great method book. And so, he's asking you to repeat this, just going up the fretboard. That's what this exercise is doing, just in case the information's not clear there. It's just you're repeating this bar up a fret and then up a fret, and then you can just continue that. So, excuse me. So if you did this with equal accent, oops, sorry. I'm already sort of getting tired and slowing down and, but if I use this kind of accent pattern that I talked about, it's a lot easier, it's a lot more energy, a lot more endurance in my hands. Okay, so that to give you an idea. And then here is a famous passage from the opening of Etude number 7 by Villa-Lobos. And once again, you know, we could compare if we put equal accents, right, like that. Like I already feel pretty like stiffness in my hands, and my tone's it's a little brittle, you know. I mean, maybe I could improve my loud playing, is one thing, but it's just harder to get the speed and fluency if you compare it to right. So I'm really thinking about what this does too, is that you start to think about less notes. You start to group notes together. So like when I was doing this, I was really thinking about every note. It's like my mind was really like linking to every single note. But here I was thinking about this note and this one, and maybe that one. So there's like, right. So I'm thinking about less things, which can also help with the process of playing faster. And we have some comments. Chris, in the first, are you saying play on the same string or first and second? That's on the same string. If this example, same string. Although you could do them across different strings too if you wanted to. And Tom, interesting comment. Varying accents provides moments of relaxation. Yeah, definitely. Stress and release. The music becomes more speech-like, because that's what we do in speech. We have strong and weak syllables, strong and weak accents when we speak as well, and that does create tension and relaxation as well. Sometimes in some cases, the strong beats were called good beats and the weak beats were called bad beats. And I think that's kind of like, it's not to say they're good and bad, but it's just that kind of language, which is like maybe good meaning relaxed and reposed, and bad meaning, you know, tension. And so there's the second one. All right, almost halfway. The third method, tension and relaxation. This time we're talking physically here, tension and relaxation. So regulating tension and relaxation is important for your playing in general, but even more so when you want to develop your speed to new heights. Relaxation equals freedom equals speed. Tension is a force that restricts freedom. Relaxation is a force that enables freedom. We often miss many opportunities to add relaxation into our playing, and instead we hold tension when it's not needed. You can think of a choreography between tension and relaxation, a sophisticated series of movements and commands that will lessen the amount of tension you use and increase the amount of relaxation. Because this is quite sophisticated, meaning detailed, let's see how this choreography works when just applied to 3 notes, playing the first 3 notes of a C major scale. They're all fretted, C, D, E. So if I play that for you, you see my right hand as well actually for this. So C and then D, C and then D and then E. There we go. Okay, so I'm just using IM with my right hand. Okay, so here is an attempt at writing in the choreography, what I'm calling it a choreography. It's like a sequence of commands to do with both the left and the right hands in relation to tension and relaxation. So no worries, see you later, John. So let me try to talk through it. So you play the first note, right? So your left hand's fretting the C, so that's involving tension. Your right hand should be relaxed at that moment. There should be no need to have any tension in your right hand. So then you pluck the note, and then the third sequence there is that the right hand relaxes. So my right hand is already relaxed. My left hand's still holding the note, but as soon as I go to move to the D, my left hand will relax, and then I'll just repeat the same process again. Okay, so it's quite difficult to talk through that. It's like trying to talk about walking, try to describe to someone how to walk, because there's a lot of commands in there that we don't think about, or that's just hard. They're just hard to describe in words. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. You fret the note, there's tension. So that's number one, that's sequence number one. And then number two, you pluck the note. So that's a little bit of tension there in your right hand. Number three is you relax the note. Number four is you relax just before you move to the next note. And then you repeat the process. Pluck. So right hand plucks tension, relax, and then relax the left hand, and then pluck, tension, relax the right hand, and then just keep repeating that sequence. So if you practice in this way, you can practice something simple like this or something more complex. I think you'll find more opportunities for relaxation. You'll find these places where you can add relaxation into the music. David says, slow but deliberate movements. Yes, yeah. And it's deliberate and slow at a slow tempo, but I think if you do that work at the slow tempo, it translates, you find relaxation when you play faster too, because it's a habit. It's becoming habitual. You're building in that habit. So there's the sequence written out. Hopefully it's making sense to you all. So you can apply this sequence to any piece, study, passage, or exercise. Every action of tension is balanced out with an action of relaxation. So that's the thing, right? The left hand tension, and then it's balanced out with relaxation here. And then with the right hand, the tension, and then the relaxation. So every action of tension is balanced out with a action of relaxation as well. So, and I made a little point here that it's interesting to note that the right hand's actions, the right hand sequence of tension and relaxation occurs very rapidly. You pluck and then it's relaxed. But the left hand typically will occur slower, because the left hand's holding the notes down. And it's only the point just before you get to the next note that the relaxation will occur. So there's tension and relaxation. Joe says breathing seems to help in coordinating tension and relaxation. Yeah, that's a good point. That's one that I haven't. There's lots of other topics. This isn't everything about speed. Nails and what it was mentioned. Something else was mentioned earlier. Legato, nails, breathing. Yeah, breathing is an interesting one. I've noticed students, like, if they were to play something like that, you might hear, the kind of little intake, little sharp breath in between each note. Or, if you get, that's sometimes you hear that sort of thing happens a bit. So, but again, I can't devote too much. That's something you could almost, talk about in an entire session, I think. So we've talked about soft and light, and accents, and tension and relaxation. We've got 3 to go, and then we'll start applying these with you. So economy of movement. This one might be one of the more obvious ones, I think. It's often something we're taught about, economy of movement. So regulating your movements is yet another foundational aspect of playing that should be addressed even without concern for developing speed. So even if you're not, all of these things really, even if you're not for the aim of speed, but just maybe the first one could be purely more to do with speed, but that could also be to do with tension. But I think all of these are worth thinking about and working on, even if you're not wanting to develop speed. I think they're hopefully, you find them useful. So here are a few ideas, a few things that you can regulate in your movements. So one is unnecessary movements. So movements that are unnecessary can negatively affect your musicality by adding all kinds of pauses, hiccups and delays. Obviously these movements will affect your ability to play fast. So just a couple of thoughts. Pay careful attention to the parts of your hands that are not required to play. So if you're using fingers 1 and 2, what are fingers 3 and 4 doing? Are they flying away and moving around, or are they sitting nice and comfortable and relaxed and ready to go? Generally, you only need to move your hands, wrists and arm in special circumstances. For example, when shifting. So if you're playing in one position, in general, you don't need too much movement. I mean, there might be particular chord shapes where you might have to do something extreme, but in general, you want to make sure. So your wrist movement, your hand movement, and your arm movement, things that you want to watch for. So unnecessary movements, large movements. So large movements result in slow playing. The larger the movement, the slower the playing. I mean, I can give an example. If I use my right hand and I use really big movements like this, and I tried to play fast, right, there's only so much I can do, but if I do small movements, right, it allows me to play faster. So pay careful attention to the parts that are required to play. So now you're focusing on what you're actually using. So if you're using IM, or if you're using fingers 1 and 2, could those parts move more efficiently? So could you use less movement with those fingers? Each action of the finger involves 2 motions, a backward stroke and a forward stroke. Ensure that each motion is carefully regulated and not moving more than necessary. So this is, a fairly simple. I like to keep saying this. I'm a pretty simple-minded guy, and this is like when we play, we sort of do a lot of this is involved. We can say, use the scientific terms, the flexors and the extensors, right? That's probably one of the primary movements that we're using when we play. So are you using? If you're aware of each movement, could you be more economical with your flexor movement and your extensor movement? Right? Are you using a lot? Are you using maybe too much extensor? Are you using maybe too much flexor? That's what I was doing with the right hand. Sort of big movements. It's a lot of flexor. I'm following through like really exaggerated, and then the extensors coming out a lot as well. So that's a large movement with the right hand, and you can do the same with the left hand, especially extensors, right? Extensors going up like that. So yes, Tom, large movements have very important function, improving blood circulation, reducing fatigue, like arm movements. True, definitely you want to balance things out. I think though, this is probably more specifically related to playing faster. You do want to, I think, find the movement, the smallest possible movement that will allow you to play at the tempo you desire. So not to say that you should always be using small movements. I think there, as Tom is suggesting, there are times when large movements, if you play a big roll chord, it's not like you have to be really super efficient with your movement. It depends on the musical context a little bit. But if you've got a quick something like that, then I think you need to adjust. It's all about regulating and adjusting our energy. And so here are some simple exercises that you can practice, some for the left hand and some for the right hand. So just a few key points to focus on. Use movements that originate only from the knuckle joints of the fingers. No hand movement, arm movement, or wrist rotation. Ensure that each individual finger moves independently. If one finger is working, ensure the remaining ones are not moving or being affected. Ensure that the trajectory of every movement is minimized. Okay, so that's sort of to do with what we talked about with unnecessary and large movements. So if I play this first exercise, it's very simple, but I think it's really good for working on the economy of movement and the unnecessary movement that you might be experiencing in your left hand. You're just going G and then A, and then G and then A. Okay, so you want to watch that there's no hand movement, right? You're not going like hand movement, there's no arm movement, you know, whatever the arm movement might be, and there's no wrist movement as well, or wrist rotation, or right, something like that, for example. So just paying attention to the hand, the arm, and the wrist. And then you can pay attention to the independence. So, you know, making sure that you're not seeing something like, you know, something like that happening. Or which I've seen quite often, and I see myself do as well sometimes. Or a lot. And then ensure the trajectory of every movement's minimized. So now focusing on the actual finger you're using. You know, you're not using excessively large movements. Okay? So these exercises are very, very basic, but I think they're good for focusing on your left hand economy of movement. And then these very basic arpeggio exercises where you can just do the same thing. Just make sure there's no, you know, arm movement or wrist movement or hand movement. Very, very common with the right hand to have this kind of bouncing movement, you know, like after every note. So that might be something to watch for. That's in terms of hand movement. That's probably the most common one with the right hand. But you can also focus on the amount of flexor and extension that you're using, flexing and extending. Yeah, so trying to keep that nice and minimal, and not too much, especially the faster you play, probably the smaller the movements will need to be. Okay, so that is, what number was that? Number 4. Economy of movement. Okay, let's fly. We've got 2 more because I'd really like to get you guys to, you know, to get to work with you on specific passages and things. Chunks and bursts. So chunks refer to breaking down rapid passages into smaller pieces, meaning smaller bits to practice. Bursts refer to practicing fast in short periods of time. Playing fast in short periods of time, yeah? Combining these together makes a powerful way to develop speed. So chunk out the piece into small bits, or the passage, probably. I should have probably written passage, really. Practice those small bits in fast bursts. So this is one from Tango in Sky. It's a significantly long burst of, you know, of speed that's required here. Okay, so let me give it a go. This is not an easy one to play off the fly. Yeah. Something like that. All right, little sloppy, but to demonstrate, maybe I can improve on what I just did by using this method. So, so I would break this down. If I was practicing this, I would break it down into 2 chunks. Maybe even more, but at least 2. The first one, right, and the second one, okay, so that allows me to really work on a lot of the things that we've already spoken about. Playing soft and light, thinking about the accents, thinking about the choreography of tension and relaxation, and economy of movement. Okay, so I'll try and play it one more time, see if that helped. Maybe, probably, we'll see what happens. Didn't help so much. Anyway, I would need to continue practicing those bursts, right? Those chunks and bursts, and to be really confident with that in front of a group, especially. So this is the kind of workshop where you need to really practice for it. So that's chunks and bursts. So also, I think it's also one of the ones you can go to pretty early on. You know, soft and light is something pretty easy to grasp, and chunks and bursts is also, it's just like practice less of it. You know, practice less of whatever it is you're trying to play faster. So last one, hands separate. Difficulties usually contain many problematic elements, so subdividing them is very useful. For many fast passages out there, it's often only one hand that is required to play with great speed. The main exception would be fast scale passages. Practicing hands separate can unlock extra speed very quickly. So here's another passage from Tango in Sky. And right, something like that. One more time. Alright, so in this passage it's the right hand that requires speed at first, right? The left hand is just holding a chord and another chord. And then it's the left hand with the slurs. Okay, so it's involving both. So this is a good one to demonstrate hands separate. So that's what I'm saying here, right? So the right hand is required there, the left hand's required there. You can think about these, aspects, but here is the method, really, to play this right hand only. So without the left hand, it would look and sound like this. And right, so that now takes away something to focus on. So you can really hone in your focus on the right hand, which is where the speed is required. So then you can really start to think about economy of movement, relaxation, accent, soft and light, that kind of thing. And then the left hand only is a very strange concept on the guitar. This works a bit more logically on the piano, because you still, with hands separate on the piano, you still get, music sounding, but on the guitar, when you practice left hand only, it's silent. So, right, so you just have to imagine, all of you will just have to imagine what's happening, but I'm playing the passage with my left hand only, and I'm muting the strings. And this now allows me to really focus on my left hand and how much movement is happening in my left hand. Okay, so there are the 6. That's very quick overview of them. Does anyone have any questions about?
Is it my imagination, or is it always the case that arpeggios go up and never seem to come down?
They it's pretty, maybe. It would be really interesting to do a bit of a study on that and see, because that study, they go up and down in that study. But yeah, maybe in a majority of the cases, maybe they do tend to go up. Any other questions? Is it all clear? Does everyone feel like there's at least one of those that they could apply and maybe would, help? Or did I address any, issues or problems that people were already having by talking through these methods?
I think one of the big difficulties is synchronization, because as you said in your last example, if you just play the open strings for going up, that's so simple. You can do it really fast immediately.
Yeah.
It's the coordination, getting your hands to work together that, well, certainly floors me as far as scales and arpeggio is concerned. That's obviously where it's going wrong.
That's that's a good another good point. Probably could develop another method just on that concept.
I have a special exercise for improving synchronization. I was showing this to Daniel during one of my lessons. It's to do with tremolo, you know, like and every two fingers, you know, every two strokes of the right hand, my fingers on the left hand are changing, and that I found, say 2 minutes a day, you know, of exercise like this dramatically improves my synchronization. Yeah. Because it's something, you know, connecting in a brain, you know, like you play very fast with the right hand, you know, initially you start very slow, you know, like, and then gradually you build up, you know, and your synchronization is improving tremendously.
Just to feed off of that quickly, Tom, one exercise that I encourage for synchronization, and it might be similar to what Tom's describing, I think it might be, except it applies especially to scale playing, is that you play you play the notes staccato, and you sync the hands up like. So that they're actually moving together, right? So that the left and right hands will prepare the next note together. Right? Okay, so that's one suggestion that I have. But again, that could be developed into a whole method of developing speed. So. Kath, I really like the concept of tension and relaxation. I think there is value in realizing the left hand actually does have the ability to relax during a passage. Yeah. I learned this is. I mean, most of these methods I sort of discovered through the hard. I took the hard path, the hard way of failing in a performance. Quite, you know, like trying, you know, playing a piece or playing a program and suffering from fatigue, or just, you know, things just really breaking down, you know, during a performance. So I really wanted to find ways to solve that. So I'd read a lot of books about practicing and and explore like try to change my approach. So and one of the big things for me was the left hand in the third movement of La Cathedral, you know, about 3/4 of the way through, my hand would have just, in a performance, just would have given up. Like I'd be struggling to continue, and so, and yeah, speed and tension and relaxation really, I think, important. There's an important link between the two. So yeah, releasing the left hand can be a really helpful, not just for speed but for endurance, and I think it's a really liberating thing in general, because if your left hand's nice and free, you just feel more free to express musically. You're not worrying about what can I do to, you know, get my hand to not be tired, or you can just think, you just be free to think about the music. So Pablo Casals, Tom says Pablo Casals was really focused on finding ways to relax during performance. Yeah, a lot of the great string players, I think, were quite focused on relaxation. I think some of them wrote about it too. Do you have any favorite studies that you think will help in these concepts? Ooh. I think you can apply them to anything. Studies as in exercises, or studies as in like a, you know, like Villa-Lobos number, like study like an etude. Public assault.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of maybe like something a Villa-Lobos study particular. Yeah, that might be a good one. Or if there's any other ones that could help the both right and left hand. In this,
yeah. I think the sort of the classics, you know, the Villa-Lobos, 12 etudes, the SAW studies. Probably, yeah, it probably depends on your sort of current level. A couple of, there's actually one that's really, I might put the link in here. I'll put the link in Zoom. There are some studies by Karuli that are really great as well. Why don't I'll just show you all this for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to. I'll just I wasn't planning on showing this, so just give me one moment, please. Now they're on my website, but the link's not working so anymore. So this is what some people, it's coming to bite me now. Second, sweet. Here we go. Here we go. Found it. So I would recommend these. They're sort of like intermediate to advanced level. So if you're thinking more in like beginner to intermediate, I'd say this Fernando SAW studies would be great. And you know, they're all pretty much all of them are available online for free, public domain. But here are some by Karuli that I've found, and that I don't think they're very widely known. So I'll give you guys all a glance. I can send this all to you as well. So this is the study. How many do we have? I think there's 24 maybe, or 12. So this first one is the first 6. I think there are 12. The first 6 are based more on right hand arpeggio playing. So like that, kind of very repetitive, you know, but in a sort of a nice way. So and then it gets into like triplet rhythms there. And so on. So the first 6, and you get some pretty like intense arpeggio patterns. Thing. It's a kind of very repetitive in a similar way to Villa-Lobos etudes. So the first 6 do that, and then the second 6, and they're some of them these are very charming too, very very lovely. And then the second set of 6 is much more left hand focused. Sorry. Kind of thing. Okay, so does that who was John that asked the question? I think. Does that Joe? Sorry, Joe. Is that yeah? So I'll send that all. I'll send that sort of thing. Yeah, I'll send that to you. Got a few comments too. So that's I'll send Karuli. Okay. Who wrote those? Karuli, Ferdinand Karuli. I'll send them to you. Okay, I'll send them to you. He typically wrote music very much aimed at the amateur market, but then you do find occasional things like that, and some of his pieces I think that he wrote maybe for himself. That are a bit more advanced. I use natural nails. That's a question from Kath. All natural. I'm very blessed with these. When I was younger, I used to have a little bit of trouble with keeping them. They would shred quite a lot. I don't know if it's because I practiced more back then, but okay. Well, why don't we spend a little bit of perhaps, well, maybe we could take a little break, just a couple of minutes break. We've been going for about an hour straight. So have a couple of minutes break. Maybe you want to warm your fingers up, get your fingers moving a bit, and if you want to demonstrate for us. So let's take 4 minutes break, please, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Okie dokie. So, could if you could please head back to your seat, thank you. So, is there anyone who would like to? Oh, Jill, yes, there is. There will be a follow-on workshop tomorrow as well, because if we want to have another good session and a bit more time for you to apply these concepts, and I'd imagine the group will be a little smaller. So, okay, all right. So Jill with a J. Okay. Just checking if I had your piece. Is there Jill with a G? What time is that? It's at 7 to Kiwi Jill. Okay, I'll call you Kiwi Jill. Jill, it's 7 o'clock. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 7 till 9. Yeah, but is there anyone who'd like to start off the demonstrations? Anyone have a? I have a few names and pieces here. Oh, yeah, we've got someone. Who's unmute? Someone has unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to.
Tom.
Maybe,
oh, sorry. Wondering who played that. All right.
Yeah.
You want to work on that passage from
I would
Villalobos?
like to make a point.
Okay.
That I think it's missing. It kind of relates to everything that you said. And you haven't put it down explicitly.
Okay.
It is optimization of fingering.
Yes, well, it's
if I didn't optimize fingering, I wouldn't be able to play much. My fingering is a bit exotic. For number of pieces, and one of them is from the etude number 1 of Heitor Villalobos. Every performer in the world struggles with a passage, and I can play it 10 times in a row because I have optimized my fingering.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I made it into my daily exercise, and this is basically part of my warm-up.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just 2 measures, and I play them, like you recommend, in a chunk, like a version. I can play them a number of times, but my fingering is very different, that. Even published by Villalobos, in his Paris edition, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So... yeah?
Yep. Well, it's definitely another point.
I would add to your 6 points that fingering is important in all of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So and fingering includes, managing the free strings, the open strings, to change positions and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And avoiding zigzag motions, of the large motions of the hand. Have the motions fluid, when.
If possible, yeah. If possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fluid, so movement is generally one way, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is what I would like to, contribute.
Yeah, no, thanks for the contribution. I guess I'd have to think of ways to describe optimization of fingering that is general enough that can be applicable to anything. Like what you said, like try to find fingerings that
this is a major struggle for me. You know, like it's not just reading music. You know, like when I want to perform, I want to minimize the motions. I want to minimize the effort. I want to increase the fluency, maximize the speed, and all that. And my tool is I look at fingerings for days and days and days. When I learned this piece, you know, like Prelude Number 1, 40 years ago, you know, I was playing it at school. And I struggled, you know, like, because I was repeating fingering of my teachers and fellow students and what was written down in the Villalobos, you know, like publication, yeah?
Yep.
And 3 years ago, I bought myself 2 good guitars and started to revive the, you know, like repertoire. And in the process, I have revised the fingering for every difficult moment, you know, like in my pieces, yeah?
Yeah.
And it was a revolution, you know, like for me. I don't know if I can describe it as a general method. It'll be, I don't know, you know, very specific topic, you know, like, yeah? And can be only done by a number of examples, you know, like to illustrate to people how it looks, how it feels, you know, like, and what are the effect of the improvement, I don't think it will fit in one workshop, you know, like this is a lifetime kind of experience, you know, like, and it can be only demonstrated on few examples, If something is inconvenient, I change the fingering.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good summary, you know, if something is inconvenient, if, you know, if you've tried, if you feel like it's just uncomfortable, or you've tried you've practiced it and practiced it and practiced it, and you've used all of the, you know, good sort of practice methods.
And there are some pieces, you know, like that you can't really change the fingering because there is no other places you can play those notes, you know, and those legatos, you know, so you have no choice, you know, just keep practicing, you know, like, but there are a number of instances, you know, like that you can make a really good contribution by experimenting with fingering, you know, and for me, experimenting with fingering not just, you know, like increases, you know, the efficiency of playing, but it is a great kind of empowering, you know, like a way of playing it. It's a new skill.
Yeah.
Don't just accept any fingering, you know, as you see it, you know, like, because, you know, when you have a piece, you know, like some fingering are in the lower positions, but to avoid jumps, you know, like there could be an option, you know, to play some of the chords or whatever in higher position to begin with, you know, like, and it makes things easier, So it is, for me, it improved my overall, you know, enjoyment of guitar, you know, like it is a tedious job. You have to basically relearn the same piece, you know, like a few times over with a new fingering, but eventually you are in a position to choose, you know, like which one, and you have a reason, you know, like to choose it. And I think that it is a good way to make progress on a guitar, to have those options, you know, and work on them,
Yep. All right. Thank you, Tom. Very good. Very good contribution there for us to think about. In addition, to think about the fingerings and give ourselves permission, you know, to try different options and see what the effect is. And so yeah, you know, lots of other topics like come up, fingernails and legato and something else. So, but yeah, maybe if we could get one or two people for tonight to have a
Am I on?
Quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Alejandro.
Okay.
Is that? Yeah. G'day.
I think I was unmuted all the time.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
I
I
hear
think,
you. Yeah. It's good
whatever.
to see you. It's good to
I'll
see
play
you.
a passage. Yeah, likewise, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much learning this passage, or I've already learned it, but very slowly. The song Clair de Lune. I'll play it very quickly, just with my metronome. Just bear with me for 1 minute. Anyway, my main concern was that that's really slow, and it obviously goes faster, but there's a lot of bar chords in there. So as I progress faster, how can I actually alleviate my arm from like those bar chords as I go faster?
Yep.
And avoid tension.
Yep, it's a great passage. Thanks for demonstrating that. I think there are two of the methods that might help you specifically with this passage. I'll put up the music for everyone so you can see. Can you all see that? You see the score? This is what Alejandro just played here. So Alejandro, before we addressed barring, I mean, a lot of the methods we talked about are interrelated. They relate to each other, and I feel like maybe the accent could be something that might help. Maybe a combination of accent and soft and light. So I feel like maybe the overall volume maybe is a bit too much. Maybe you could get softer. Okay. This pianissimo is indicated here, and then the accents are all fairly even as well. So it's sort of the execution is quite fairly heavy and loud, I would say, and maybe if you can make it lighter and softer and lessen the accents, that might already start to alleviate a little bit. What was that? Or if I do it a bit slower. So, as opposed to right, the metronome, the way you have the metronome set might be encouraging you to do that a little bit, because you've got it on every second beat with the same click. So I'd maybe try to at least put a strong and a weak click. So strong, weak, strong, weak. Yeah, to get that. This is 9/8 time, I think. Okay. So if you have that click pattern, that might encourage you to lessen the number of accents, and then in 9/8, maybe we'll talk about accents first in a bit more detail. In 9/8, the first beat would be the most, and then 2 and 3 would be a little bit weaker, typically. Okay.
So.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, yeah, it helps.
That was already. I felt like that was already an improvement, just from that one element, and you did it sort of instantly. So yeah, the accents, soft and light, and then in terms of the barring, I think thinking about tension and relaxation, that aspect. So releasing, where exactly can you release tension? I think that shift. So that shift here that you're barring the second fret and then you shift up to the fifth position. I think that's actually a moment of an opportunity to relax the hand, and arm, and shift. And it might be something to slow down. Another thing you can do is sometimes it's referred to as a corrective pause, where you're pausing intentionally in order to correct or enhance or change something. So you could actually pause very momentarily, relax the hand and arm as much as possible, and then there's another shift here too, right? So that's another opportunity for relax and shift, right? Relax and shift, and then relax and shift. Yeah.
Some guitarists that play this like pretty fast, they use a lot of rubato, like on the parts they need to relax, so they slow it down.
Okay, yeah. So you could, you could use rubato to your advantage as well. Yeah, it's another aspect. But do you want to try this? I mean, this is something that you probably won't feel the effects of as immediately as like with the accents. But do you want to just try that idea of you're pausing, and just while you're shifting, you're also relaxing as well, the left hand?
Yeah.
Could you do that one more time for us? I'll put you on a large screen again, and maybe take longer, please, with the pauses. Really allow yourself. Don't worry about this is an exercise, so it's not. You can take as long as you like, really. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're doing a great job. I mean, I feel like your shifts just seem not only more accurate, but just more graceful already. I don't know if you're feeling any difference from doing that. But the pauses you're doing they're not even that long. They're almost,
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. It's so. But that was really beautiful. Chris has a question. Consider barre with fourth finger on 10th fret. No need for barring.
I think it's easier for me if I fret on the 10th fret, because I actually use the bar chord in here as well.
Yeah, you could use this fingering. You could use that for, yeah.
Oh, it's a bit easier in here, because in here I just move it like up
down,
here.
Yeah. Tom has a suggestion of barring with the fourth, like doing this kind of thing.
That's pretty hardcore.
I find that a little challenging to get back to get back to this. But it's good, good to throw out ideas. Good to have ideas out there to experiment with. So
there was another point actually about that, and it's interesting that these suggestions are coming out because some people everybody's hands are different, so what suits some people wouldn't suit others. And if you're in the habit of sort of barring with the little finger, then that would be a very simple thing to do. But
if it's something you're comfortable with,
hands being different, then
it's
a question of your own experimentation to see what works best for you.
That's a good point too. Very good point as well.
But that's the thing as well. I mean, Yeah, it's true. It kind of might work for me, like if I do it slow with the bar chord, but when I do it faster, I might have to kind of change fingering because I might not make it in time. I don't know. I'll see in time, I guess.
I guess
what you're aiming at too is sliding with the little finger up the string, and then you're on the string, so you just go up with it. It seems to me that the 10th fret would be easy enough to do without another bar he's got rid of. It's like Gary Ryan used to say, you should pay 50 pence for every barry, because it should be a tax on barries because they're not natural.
Yeah, I think really, I guess just being open to other options and trying them out is a really good, thing to do. But nonetheless, I do feel like in that very short amount of time, you did a really great job of applying those ideas. And I heard, I don't know if does everyone agree? Did you hear positive changes in Alejandro's playing from the first time? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty quick, like you just did it like in one repetition. You did one, you enhanced something about it, and then in another, you enhanced another feature. That's what I meant by if you improve one aspect, you can increase your speed a little bit, but if you improve multiple, then you're increasing. You could potentially increase your speed, like by a great amount, and I think other things start to fall into place too, like your sense of timing and rubato, and you're probably you can start focusing more on the music and less on the once these issues start to become easier, then it's your emphasis can be more on the music, which is I think what we always should strive for. So great, thank you, Alejandro, that was really fantastic.
Thank you.
I think when Alejandro slowed it down, he just relaxed more and it flowed better.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that he really took on board the idea of the accents. The first time the second time he played it, he really took that on board, and playing softer and lighter. And then the next one with the shifts and relaxing before the shifts or during the shifts, that seemed to just result in a more graceful and accurate and beautiful shift between one position to another. So,
yeah, thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Jill. Thanks for the comment. Maybe we'll have one more and then we'll wrap up for today. Anyone else?
Yeah, I could.
Patricia, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a little passage. It's only a very short passage in a piece, but what happens is I practice a passage on its own, and then the moment I put it back into the piece, I fluff it again.
Yeah, that's another.
It's a little tiny run. There's just a little run of triplets. And I just find it really difficult to get it clear and neat and even and musical. But it starts. Then I have to go into that little.
Okay. This is great. That's a good passage. So something like that. What's piece is that from?
It's actually a piece that my husband's written, and he wrote it some time ago. But I've only recently, last sort of month, been learning it. I don't know if I can put it on my screen because I've got it up. How do I screen share?
How do I do this? I've learned about this recently. I can. I think I can do this. I think I can. But
actually, I did send it to you on an email.
Okay, sorry.
But don't worry if you. At the moment, I sent you a few screenshots of little tiny.
That run would be good to work on, just for a few minutes. Yeah.
This one.
No, was it this one that you have in trouble?
it's really difficult to do it nicely.
I think with this one, the chunks and bursts method might be a good one to try out first. You know, you seem to be playing it, I think, already fairly light and soft, and the you know, you're not putting a lot of the slurs already create the accent for you a little bit. So right. I think the chunks and bursts would be good. So you could just doing, you know, each one and optimizing the as many things as you can, economy of movement and accent, and, you know, just optimizing things as much as you can with that small burst, with that small chunk.
Yeah, because I've just been doing the whole passage.
Yeah. So let's try.
It's on its own, but when I put it back into the piece, I kind of know I'm going to go wrong. So
that could be that could be partly a psychological, you know, sort of a thing. Yes. Of where we tense up because of our thoughts. So that could be, I mean, it's another aspect to it as well. But maybe, but could we just experiment with this and see what happens, please? Yeah.
Okay.
But Patricia, you try the fingering that Daniel is showing. You play legato with fourth finger.
Yes.
Yeah, I was doing 2-1. I think I was doing 2-1 and then 3 for the slur, and then just sliding 1.
But what do you do? Then
I do 3-1 for the next. Yeah.
So they got.
Yeah.
I was doing.
I mean, Patricia, I think that the fourth finger is your limitation. You know, if you use other fingers, you know, like you will find it easier, but eventually you have to practice it. Yeah.
Yeah. But no choice there, obviously.
Yeah. Maybe let's just try with the fingering you were using, because changing a fingering is a fairly, you know, big change. Let's first try it, because I think you can do it with this fingering, although using another fingering might make it easier. But let's just try the chunks and bursts. So if you could just do each group on their own, and if we can find, you might find some kind of little, you know, revelation that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
that's it.
Like that, you mean?
That's it. Yep.
Oh dear.
Maybe just up to.
Does it change? It's not the same pattern all the way down, so I have
to
remember.
It's the same pattern, so yeah. Maybe up to there, just up to the 7th fret, please. Now, something I'm noticing is, I guess this is related to economy of movement, but it's a bit of an interesting topic, that your instrument, your guitar, is actually moving quite a lot. The neck, the fretboard is moving quite a lot as you're playing. So that's might be causing some, you know, that bit unstable. So if you can try to get more stability in the neck. It might be related to your right arm, just letting your right arm just like lock in the guitar, because I find that's a lot of the time that's where movement comes from, or stability can be increased.
Still moving a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you shift. Especially when you shift, there is a bit of movement. Let me maybe let me demonstrate it and see if I can do it with this little movement in the front. Yeah, it might have to do with it's quite easy to get movement in there. So if you can slow it down a little bit and reduce the movement of the neck as much as possible, please.
Yeah, I'm still moving. I hadn't realised
still
that.
Moving a bit. It might have to just do with your whole setup a little bit with what you know. So that's something to consider. Maybe another one that you could try. Maybe we'll have to finish up here. Is tension and relaxation. So could you try to relax as much as possible in between all of these passages, all of these slurs? That's sounding nice. That's I feel like already an improvement there. Maybe give yourself a little pause, a little corrective pause to really feel the relaxation. Yeah, a bit longer, please. Yeah, I'm not hearing. That's it. That's it. Yeah, don't be afraid to. Yeah, even a bit longer. Really, you can even take your fingers off. Maybe even take your fingers off the fretboard. I know that goes against economy of movement, but just to encourage, relaxation. Lift and then shift. Lift, relax, and then shift. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Nice. Okay, could you try now at this maybe the same tempo but without the pauses? One more time. Okay, so I don't know if this is maybe at a faster tempo. Do you want to just try at a faster tempo? Yeah. Sounding. Could you try the whole passage, please? Nice. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about that now?
Yeah, I can see that can, it's never an instant fix. It's, hours of practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I can see there's ideas that I can put in there. I've just been playing the whole passage, and I hadn't thought of the relaxation, and I hadn't thought of, because it's quite a short passage, I hadn't thought of taking it apart even
Yeah, it's
more.
already a short passage, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the example I used from Tango and Sky is a relatively short. That's 1.5 bars.
Yes, that's interesting because I practice that piece. I wouldn't say I play it. I practice that piece as well.
Yeah.
So
yes. Yeah. So stability. Yeah. Sorry.
Piece to work on the techniques you've talked about. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you. Thanks for that. Excellent. Well, that was a lot of fun. We've been going for a little while now, so I'll I'm happy to send you all the Karuli book, and hope that's been useful. And I do have arranged another session for tomorrow. If anyone's interested in continuing, and we can just jump straight into we don't have to talk about the methods again, so we can just jump straight into playing. So for tomorrow, it's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and this time I'll charge a little fee. Of $40, so it's a $20 discount. I'm normally doing these at $60, so I'm going to make it $40 if you sign up tonight, and I'll also give you a copy of the my 19th Century Arpeggio Bible. Okay, so I'll put the link in Zoom here, and I'll also email it to you all. I'll put the link here in the chat. Okay, and I'll also email it to you. If you can go ahead there, you can register now if you like, or sometime later today, or so it'll be really fun to sort of work with more of you and try to address these issues of playing fast, developing speed, and I've also got a couple of just a quick announcement about, if you don't know already, there's a really great live stream concert coming up by the Melbourne Guitar Festival, Emma Shea, on the 26th of September. So if you like watching concerts from the comfort of your home, then that's something I just wanted to give a plug for, and I'll also send you a link to that. And if you like composing, I think quite a number of you are already part of the composition courses that Michael and I have been running. But just in case you haven't come across these, we're doing another one in October, so you can register for that. That's only $27. It's a 4-week course, so one goes over 1 month, and we've had a lot of fun organizing that and seeing people's work and enthusiasm. So all right, so I'll send you all the Karuli book, and I'll send you a recording of this session, so you'll have the recording of this where I talk through the methods. But if you'd like to work a bit more like basically one-on-one, to really apply these methods, then I hope you feel like signing up, and be great to see you tomorrow. If not, I might see you around. There are more workshops to come, more events to come. So thank you all so much for being here, and I'll be in touch soon. So all the best. Thank you, Jean-Francois and Jill and Patricia and Eli and Kath. All right, thanks everyone. We'll leave it there. Yoda, thank you. Yeah, Tom said today it was supposed to be 30 minutes. Yeah, wasn't it? I was thinking of changing it to an hour. I was going to say, okay, keep it at an hour, and now it's gone quite a bit longer. I didn't know how many people to expect, and I was having a lot of fun. So, yeah, it's my pleasure. All right, so I'll see you all around.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, bye-bye.
All right, all the best. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.
Bye, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, I said that.
See ya.